So what happens if the world's most important energy artery just gets blocked? It's a question that, believe me, keeps world leaders and economists up at night. Because the answer could change everything, from what you pay for gas to the food on your dinner table. Let's get into it.
Okay, let's start with a bit of a puzzle. Every single day, a full 20%, 1/5 of the entire planet's oil supply, passes through one single spot. Any guesses what that is? Maybe some massive continent-spanning pipeline? A crazy high-tech superport?
Well, the answer is actually way simpler and kind of scarier. It's just a narrow strip of water. At its tightest point, it's only 33 kilometers wide. That's it. One single, incredibly vulnerable passage is pretty much responsible for keeping the lights on for a huge part of the world.
All right, so we have to take a closer look at this critical waterway. People call it a river of oil, and honestly, that's the perfect description. This is the Strait of Hormuz.
So, geographically speaking, the Strait of Hormuz is the only way for ships to get from the Persian Gulf out to the open ocean. It's a natural bottleneck, squeezed right between Iran and Oman. It's the one and only gateway to the Arabian Sea, and from there, the rest of the world.
The sheer volume of oil flowing through here is just staggering. We're talking 20 million barrels of oil every single day. I mean, to put that in perspective, that's enough oil to fill about 3,200 Olympic-sized swimming pools. All of that energy, all that value forced through one narrow channel.
And listen, this isn't just some abstract number. This is the main exit route for some of the world's absolute biggest energy producers. We're talking about countries like Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Kuwait, and Iraq. Their economies are almost completely dependent on this one little strait to get their lifeblood product out to the global market.
And that's exactly why you'll often hear it called the heart of global energy. And that analogy is spot on. Just like your heart pumps blood to keep your body going, the Strait of Hormuz pumps the energy that keeps the entire global economy running.
Which of course brings us to the most important question of all. What would happen if that heart just stopped beating? Let's walk through the immediate economic shockwave a closure would send around the world.
Just imagine it for a second. Some kind of conflict, a political crisis, even a major accident, and boom, the strait is closed. What's the very first thing that happens on a global scale?
Well, the first domino to fall would be the price of oil itself. With 20% of the world's supply basically vanishing overnight, prices would just explode. Experts predict they could surge to $150 a barrel, maybe even higher. That's a shock that would be felt at every gas station, everywhere, almost instantly.
A high oil price might seem a bit abstract, but trust me, its effects are very, very real. This is what we call the global domino effect. And more importantly, this is why it matters directly to you.
It's really a simple chain reaction. The strait closes, which means the global oil supply tanks. That makes fuel for ships, planes, and trucks incredibly expensive. And since just about every single product we buy has to be transported somehow, the cost of, well, everything starts to climb.
And this is where it really hits home. We're talking about your wallet. The cost of food goes up, right? Because modern farming and transport need a ton of energy. The price of almost any manufactured good you can think of goes up. Your electricity and heating bills? Yep, they go up too. It's a wave of inflation that you'd feel almost immediately.
Now, a massive economic vulnerability like this doesn't exist in a vacuum. It turns the strait into a huge geopolitical flashpoint. It's the center of a very, very tense international standoff.
So that brings us to the big one. How likely is all this really? Is a full shutdown just some hypothetical doomsday scenario, or is it a genuine, real-world threat?
The reality is, it's a fragile balance. On one side, you have Iran, which has, at times, threatened to close the strait as a form of leverage when feeling intense political pressure. And on the other side, you have major naval powers, especially the U.S. Navy, maintaining a constant presence there with the specific mission of making sure that doesn't happen. It's this perpetual, high-stakes standoff.
There's actually a technical term for this. Military strategists and economists call it a choke point. And the key word in that definition is vulnerability. That narrowness, that constriction, creates an inherent weakness that can be exploited. And in this case, it's the entire global economy that's left vulnerable.
And here's the thing. Don't expect this situation to get any easier. For as long as our world runs on oil and gas, the strategic power held by this single stretch of water is only going to become more and more important.
So, we get the stakes, we see the key players, and we understand the potentially devastating consequences of a shutdown, which leaves us with one last pretty sobering thought.
If the unthinkable ever does happen, and this vital artery is severed, is the world actually prepared for the crisis that would follow?